that video going around?
Just take me there. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, what did you make of that video going around where Wilder was attacking Mike Tyson's resume?
Well, I posted it. I put it up. I think that's an old video.
Yeah,
it could be an old video. That was a few years back. And, maybe he had just won the title. And hey, listen, Wilder had a knockout streak going. And it would take a blind man not to get caught up in all that hype. You know what I mean? But, basically that's what it was, a lot of hype. Not saying that Wilder doesn't have ability, man, but he just got to fine-tune his skill set. Once he does that, then you'll be able to see his potential. I just think he's a lot of potential. If it ended today unrealized, I would just think his potential has been unrealized because he never learned the basics. To be able to take off from a solid foundation. So, that's how I feel. I think I've expressed that. And I just think he has work to do, man. He needs a really good teacher who can get in there and work on some of the basic stuff, perfect some of the basic stuff so that he then can use his skill set to where we at with Wilder. He needs someone in there with a teacher mentality that can speak his language, someone he can respect, and he can get out of his own way. And I think it takes a lot of people. You got to have some humility, man. You got to be strong enough to humble yourself and say, I don't know it all, and be coachable.
Wow. Those are the words of Antonio Tarver once again. Now, Antonio Tarver said some of the realest things that any other fighter / trainer can say about Deontay Wilder. First of all, he addressed the Mike Tyson issue, the disrespect, and he was absolutely right. That was years ago, okay, when Wilder did make that rant video about Mike Tyson and criticizing his career. Now, mind you, when Deontay Wilder did make that video, it was in 2017. He was the champion, the WBC heavyweight champion at the time. Okay. Now, the important thing to remember is when he made this video, he was attacking Mike Tyson, a retired fighter. And he made it based off of what people were telling him about Mike. So this was his response to Mike Tyson and his reputation, okay? And I think that angered Wilder. I think that's why he made that rant video. I think that's why he tried his best to discredit Mike Tyson. And Antonio Tarver gave a better insight, or, a different insight, I think, with the hype. It was just hype. He just won the title. He said, I think he won, but he had just recently won the title, the year before. And he was, matter of fact, a year before. And he just got caught up in the hype, and he said it's hard not to when you're on a knockout streak like Wilder was. But the problem was with Wilder, and we have to address this each and every time. If I understand why Wilder was blasting Mike Tyson now, because like Antonio Tarver said, he was on a knockout streak, but his opponents were less than none. They weren't on the level. Even though he was knocking them out, sure, you get another knockout on your resume, but that doesn't mean the people that you knock out are worth mentioning, okay? Because they weren't. And I think what happened, he criticized Mike Tyson because people were criticizing him. Okay, and what he was doing was, look at Mike. He only fought 2 Hall of Famers. Look at Mike. He didn't do what people think he did. He just had a reputation for being this particular guy. But so that doesn't make him any better than me. Okay, that's what Deontay was doing, and he was discrediting Mike Tyson because people were already criticizing him as a fighter. And I think he wasn't getting the recognition that he felt he deserved being that way. But If he wasn't getting the recognition, he should have done something about it. And what he did about it was less than none. And then when he attempted, we see what the outcome is. If we fast forward 3 years, we see you draw with Tyson Fury, fight an old Ortiz twice, then you criticize Mike Tyson for fighting Larry Holmes, which was out of his prime, like we can argue that Luis Ortiz was out of his prime, which he was, since he was so old, right? And we can look at that right now. Look at this. I know he was 38, but we're going to check just to be sure. How old was Larry Holmes when he fought Mike Tyson?
38 years old.
38.
According to BoxRec, Holmes.
Okay, thanks. But he was 38 years old, you know, so Luis Ortiz was even older than that. Matter of fact, he was going to be, he was 39 at the time he fought. Okay? He was 39 years old when he fought him the first time. He was 40 years old when he fought him the second time. A year later. No, let's scratch that. A year and a half later, almost 2 years later, because he fought him late last year. Okay? Ortiz turned 41 in March, on the 29th, I believe. Right? Now, it's crazy for you to criticize Mike Tyson, then you can't criticize yourself. So back to Antonio Tarver. Again, this wasn't a hate video. He really wanted to help Deontay. He said Deontay Wilder is going to have humility and have to say, hey, I don't know everything. Teach me. And he has to be coachable. Okay? He has to get out of his own way. These are very good key things that I've been telling people about Wilder for a very long time. Because when you're surrounded by people that's telling you what you want to hear, you will never learn anything. You know, they turn a blind eye to what you lack because they're constantly too busy telling you how good you are. You know what I mean? If you're good at running, but you suck at swimming, but all they do is talk about how good of a runner you are, but you're in a swimming contest. Okay. You know what I mean? They're not helping you. You need to get someone that can teach you how to swim, right? Not run. You're a good runner. Like Wilder. He's a good puncher, right? He punches hard with his right hand. You know, and that's what everyone focuses on. Everyone builds. Everyone promotes that idea. You know, oh, he's the hardest puncher in heavyweight history. And he believed it. And somebody that's believing his own hype, is hard for him to really realize, like, look, I got beat for a reason. Why did this man beat me? And like Antonio Tarver says, hey, he's going to have to go back to the basics. And he's going to have to learn boxing fundamentals. And if he can't learn that, well, you know, it is what it is. But it was good intel by Antonio Tarver. You guys tell me what you think about his comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.